Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the finale of Saints Row 1. And needless to say, after this part, I have played all the numbered games of the Saints Row series. Needless to say, 1 and 2 are pretty damn good. 2's my favorite. Not gonna say or lie to you. 2's my favorite because 1, as much as I like 1, there is a lot of annoyances, primarily the activities, but there is a lot of annoyances, and it can get really frustrating really fast. But at the end of the day, I powered through it. Although with less weapons than I did before, I still managed to do it. And this last save file warning right here tells you that once you get here, you're done. That's it. The game is over. So, yeah. Normally it would have been a big anticlimactic battle, but no. Surprise, surprise, due to a lazy animator, this opens up one of the biggest plot points ever that Saints Row 3 certainly dropped the ball on. And so too did Volition and Deep Silver. So with that said, it's time for the most infamous scene in all of Saints Row. And that would be salting the earth. Prepare yourselves, because this ending pretty much is on par with Halo 2.
Your guest is here, Mr. Yos.
Thanks, Stephen. If you don't mind, could you wait outside? I'm Richard Hughes. It is a pleasure to meet the man who handed me the election. No need to be modest, I'm serious. There's no way I could have beaten Marshal Winslow. God rest his soul. But you made the impossible happen, and for that, I can't thank you enough. I mean, had Winslow been the only person killed, attention would have definitely been cast on me. But after that fireworks display you pulled at his funeral, it's become abundantly clear these horrible crimes were perpetrated by the 3rd Street Saints. While before people criticized my Saints Row urban renewal plan, it is now being lauded. See, until you came along, I was displacing poor people. Now, I'm destroying a hotbed of gang activity. What can I say? The public is fickle. Champagne. As you get older, you quickly learn that there are only 2 types of people in this world. Race, money, gender, none of this matters. At the end of the day, you're either a winner or a loser. Now, the sad truth about our situation is that in order for me to be a winner, I have to level your neighborhood and salt the earth. Hold on for a moment. Stephen, could you come in here? Where was I? Oh yes, salting the earth. Now, I suppose I could try to pay you off, but really, what's the point? You just say no. Or in your case, stand there looking intimidating, and we'd be right back to where we started. So I figured I'd cut the middleman and get right to the point.
Hey, yo, can you speed this shit up? I want to go to Freckle Bitches.
You're going to die here, son. Make no mistake about that. But if it makes it any easier on you, I'll be sure to thank you in my acceptance speech. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a party to...
See what I mean by this being on par with Halo 2? Clearly this was sequel bait. And thankfully the sequel delivered. Although the subsequent sequels afterwards, well, they kind of dropped the ball. Needless to say, after everything that I have been through with this series, it is sad to see the series go out the way it did. Moreover, look at all these ambitious programmers. One lazy animator, one, literally opened the gates to probably would have been an interesting storyline that they could have followed up on, and moreover follow up on in Saints Row 3. They dropped the ball. They just screwed everything up, because quite frankly, the person who was supposed to flip the switch on that bomb was not supposed to be Julius. It was supposed to be Dex. Dex would have been revealed as a traitor alongside of Troy. to make sure that he's safe, and moreover to make sure that he doesn't get arrested alongside with the rest of the Saints when Troy busts him. And Troy is in fact an undercover cop that busts every single Saint in the entirety of the row, save for Aisha, who went into hiding until Saints Row 2, and I have that playthrough, and you already know her fate. Nonetheless, it's this event right here that opens up a lot of questions up until the second game came out. Like, what happened to the boss? Is he dead? Is he alive? And moreover, after everything we've done and 100% the game, we end up dying. That's some old bullshit. That is basically close to Halo's finishing the fight. Unfortunately, Halo continued the fight. And they continued the fight. Then they made a prequel to the fight, and then they continued the fight. By 4, the fight was already over, to be honest with you. I'm just saying. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, these guys went above and beyond the Call of Duty. Got so many rappers, got so many tracks, got so many royalty-free and royalty-based sounds and songs. Most of the classical music is literally owned by Universal. Owned by Universal, sorry. Much to the dismay of practically everyone, because all those tracks are public domain, and that greedy corporation decides to buy the rights to it because they're a bunch of assholes, but I digress. Oh, and by the way, here's a news report right after the fact.
This just into the newsroom. A deadly explosion has rocked the waterfront. Our Jane Valderrama is already at the scene.
Jack, waterfront residents and the press, who were setting up their cameras and microphones to cover the gala fundraiser scheduled for mayoral candidate Hughes' campaign, were treated to an amazing sight a few moments ago as the yacht registered to the alderman exploded in a shower of brass and mahogany. We were a safe distance away, so no one here was injured, as far as we can tell, but we have no word as to who, if anyone, was actually aboard. We don't know how this happened, why this happened, or even who was on the boat, if anyone, as no survivors have been located. I was inside the press tent when it happened, but witnesses outside say that the peaceful, serene evening was suddenly punctured by a vicious explosion that not only reduced the alderman's yacht to a pile of floating debris, but knocked out windows and swamped smaller boats throughout the marina. Jack?
Jane, while you were giving that report, we attempted to contact Alderman Hughes' press secretary, and there was no answer. Do we know where the alderman is?
No, we do not, Jack. I've asked around, and no one from the press corps noticed any official movement on the boat, as it's early in the evening and the event was not scheduled to begin for another couple of hours.
Do we know if this was an accident or yet another attempt on the life of a public official?
Jack, we don't have any definitive answers on that, and with almost no details emerging yet, we still do not know if this was something as silly as a galley or a fuel tank explosion. But in the light of recent events, we cannot rule out the possibility that this was more than just an accident. Reporting live from the waterfront, this is Jane Valderrama. Back to you, Jack.
Thank you, Jane, and stay dry. Stay tuned as we get more details on this unfolding event. We will bring them to you immediately. In the newsroom, I'm Jack Armstrong.
Even worse than the fact that it's official, you survived. Turns out Alderman Hughes survived too. Eric Griffin was supposed to be revealed to be Richard Hughes, which is why Dex was doing everything he could to kill him. But in the end, Dex basically struck out on his own for the fact of trying to get back at Alderman Hughes, but at the same vein, he wanted to do it in a way where the Saints won't get reckless and screw everything up, but at the same vein, he could have Alderman Hughes' head on a platter, because he knew that Hughes survived the blast. And sure enough, he did, and he had to change his identity to make sure nobody would try to kill him again. But then, Alderman Hughes' wife becomes even worse of a tyrant in 3, and moreover, the whole Eric Griffin as Alderman Hughes thing, it gets dropped. There's just so many good ideas dropped because Deep Silver took over THQ, because THQ tried to sue Vince McMahon, and moreover because the old guard left and was replaced with the new. And by the time the new guard got fully accustomed, every good story point from Saints Row 2 was completely flushed down the toilet. Every good storyline from Saints Row 1 was completely flushed down the toilet. All the memorable characters from Saints Row 2 ended up being NPCs in an actual activity, force activity mind you, and got out of hell trying to get out of hell from burning alive in hell. I mean, I don't understand what's so hard about keeping the actual lore of a story, but it seems it's not just Koei that has that problem. For those of you who are wondering about what I mean by expand the lore, I mean, Sekigahara didn't end with Tokugawa winning, it ended with the fall of Tokugawa. And Romance of the Three Kingdoms didn't end with the fall of Wu Wei and Shu, it also ended with Jin getting, obliterated from within by the War of the 12 Princes. That's what I meant to say. But nonetheless, it's so hard for modern writers to just expand upon the lore of the past. And it's a shame that they did that. And the old guard practically called out the new guard for it. But nonetheless, that was Saints Row. The first Saints Row I've ever played, and it was a damn good game, even though 2 is much better. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all next Thursday and Friday for my new playthrough. Until then, this is RPMan 985. Peace out, and take care, everyone.